Do you ever wish someone would draw you a map and give you the directions to the career of your dreams? If so, consider this podcast your GPS to a career where you feel strong, fulfilled, and passionate about your work, day in and day out. On this show, I am sharing the tools to help you advocate for your strengths, discover your passions, and learn from folks who transformed their careers for the better. My name is Joyel Crawford, your fairy god mentor, and with my 18 years of experience in HR at a Fortune 50 company and 20 years of coaching and mentoring top leaders, I am thrilled to be your guide on this career journey. Let's get started. Hi there, and welcome back to Career View Mirror, this show where we reflect on the twists and the turns and the lessons learned on the road to leadership and career success. I'm your host, Joyel Crawford, your favorite fairy god mentor, helping you to grow through what you go through in work and life. Today, we are tapping into the power of positivity, not in a cliche way, but in a way that can radically change how you show up as a leader, as a colleague, as a human being. So there is no better person to break this down for us than the one and the only Lisa Bien. She's a speaker, she's an author, she's a TV host, she's an all-around positivity powerhouse. Lisa's message isn't about ignoring the hard stuff. It's about choosing to rise through it. And whether she's motivating leaders or pulling together cohorts to empower others to just be their best selves, she brings the real talk and the real joy. And that is why I'm so excited to have her back. She is a repeat guest for those who've been following Career View Mirror through the years. It's 10 years now. If you've been following my podcast, she was on my podcast 6 years ago. I think it was 6 years. So I think it's so amazing to have you back. And I can't wait to dive into this with you. Welcome, Lisa.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm just so happy to be here because I'm just so in awe of you and everything that you do. So like I said, I always like to follow you because in my eyes, you're like a rock star, superstar. So, and any positivity or good vibes we can put out into the universe, the better. And you're just amazing. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for being here again. And I was as a guest on your talk show back in the day. And it's part of we were talking offline, but you're part of my opening credits. Like, it's just great to have you back. You're part of this. So
we're part of each other's journeys, I think, is what we're trying to say. And we become friends through it all. And it all started over breakfast. It's like that song, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yeah. But we didn't eat at Tiffany's.
No, not
we
yet.
Didn't.
Not yet. But maybe it's on the list.
It is on the list.
Well, I'm just welcome back. I'm just so thrilled that you're here. Your energy is contagious. And I know our listeners are going to soak it up again. So I really want to start to dig into looking back. That's the whole point of Career View Mirror, is to look back so that others can move forward, right? So for just a split second, what experience inspired you to step into this work about helping people to tap into their positivity, especially during hard times, like right now, right now?
Yeah. So about 15 years ago, I lost my job. I had to declare personal bankruptcy, and my second divorce became final all in 1 month. And at that time, I was raising 2 boys. I had a mortgage. I remember sitting at my kitchen table and thinking, I don't even have a laptop. How am I going to find a laptop? So I went to my son's closet. And I pulled out the laptop and I started typing on it, and it was bouncing, and I took an equal packet and put it underneath, and I learned how to deal with, basically I learned how to use what you have. but I had two choices. And I say this all the time. First of all, my kids had to eat and I had to eat too, but I was
Yes.
always obviously more worried about my children.
Mhm.
And then how we show up for ourselves, especially when you're a parent. At that time my kids were younger,
Mhm.
I'm their role model, they're watching me.
Right.
And I always believe in the power of hope, so I never lost hope. And I'm also a big believer in telling people what's going on in your life. Like, I am, what you see is what you get, full
Yeah.
on honesty. You know that about me. I
Open
mean,
book.
open book, literally and figuratively.
Yes.
Um, and I think it's great to, because when we're comfortable to share what's happening or ask for help, it helps us grow. And everything in life is a lesson, and we have
Yeah.
to learn from it. So you asked me what inspired me to start this. It really was going through this in 1 month. It was like, a lot. And just realizing that I have to put my big girl pants on and I had to make it happen because nobody was going to do it for me. And absolutely live according to that. Sometimes a little too much, but I always say no one's coming to save you. No one,
Right.
no one's coming to pay my mortgage. No one was coming to give me a job. Everything you want in life, you have to go get. And so through that, I wrote my first book and started, as to you spoke about earlier, my television programming, which was great at Temple University. I'm so grateful for that opportunity because from that opportunity, I got to see that we're all struggling with something. Everybody has pain. I don't care who you are. Everybody is walking around with some kind of pain. And
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do, and what at the time when this whole thing started, Joelle, was to say, look, we all have some kind of pain. We're all struggling. Take the mask off, and like, let's keep it real. I
Yeah.
still have this dream that one day we're all going to walk around with something on our chest that tells people what we're really going through. Because
Yes.
if we were so super honest just for one day, I think we would be a lot nicer and kinder to each other.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's really important to me. It's like I really want people to just take a deep breath and understand that no matter what's going on in the world, we're all still human beings. Nobody has the answer. Nobody has the perfect life. And
Mhm.
what we need to do is just be kind to each other and gentle with
Yes.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Gentle with ourselves.
Absolutely. Kind, gentle with ourselves and with others, and you're not a pie in the sky kind of person, it's to be real about it, but just take a little step back and kind of meet people where they are with a bit of empathy. I think that's gone the way of the dodos. It's just like there's no empathy whatsoever. I remember thinking about making this shirt when my dad passed away in 2018, suddenly. And another friend of mine, I've kind of just find friends through grieving. And so that's like
Mhm.
the next book I'm writing about is working through grief. And I remember telling
Awesome.
her, I said, I would love to make a shirt that looks like a little yield sign that just says caution in, person grieving,
Mhm.
and just like wear it so that people could just treat me with kindness, because you don't know what's on people's shirts, like you don't
Yeah.
know what they're wearing.
We
I
don't know
just
what we're wearing in our hearts and our minds and our souls. And some people can, I walk on the boardwalk. I just moved to Ventnor, New Jersey, and I walk on the boardwalk every single day, except when it's pouring rain because it's the hair. But but I
I
look at
don't have
people.
that problem.
I know. I was going to say, girl, you were so lucky. But I walk and I look at people and I say, well, I mean, I'm like such an empath, so I tend to pick up people's energies and their vibes.
Mhm.
And it's exhausting sometimes, but I look at people and I think, well, that person needs a little hug. Like, I honestly wish I could just walk up to people and hug them. I'm not even kidding you. Like, there's so many times, like I'm a Wawa, or I'm just anywhere, and I see people.
Yeah.
They look so
Valid.
unhappy, and I want to walk up and embrace everybody and give them a big hug and tell them it's going to be all right, as long as you believe that it's going to be all right, because
Yeah.
you are the one. And the positivity came from just always telling my kids that I was going to be their number one fan in the stands. So I
Mm,
always told my kids that no matter what happens in life, I will be their number one fan in the stand. You know, no matter what they do, good, bad, or ugly, right? And
yeah.
so, well, if I'm going to be their fan, I better damn well be my own fan, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, and
That's
then after all that
fascinating.
adversity happened in my life, I started power throwing, some big stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, I got
Mhm.
stories. You want stories? I got stories. I mean, I literally at one point thought I was going to lose my house. I thought it was going to be foreclosed on. I mean, I have stories, and I just remember always believing it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. It has to get better. It has to get better. And you know how I knew it was going to get better? Because I was going to do it. I was going to make it happen. I was the one that believed enough that, like, and in the beginning, maybe, Joyelle, and to be honest, maybe it wasn't me believing in myself. Maybe it was my need to, like, save, like, I needed to save myself so my kids could be happy and
Right.
have a home and have food. And then
Right.
after a while, it just evolved to, you know what? I got this. I
Yeah.
got this. I wore a bracelet that said hope every single day. I tell people all the time, like, if you're in doubt, if you're scared,
Mhm.
put signs up anywhere. Take a sticky
Yeah.
note, right? And just say,
Put it
"You
up
got
there.
this." But put it anywhere. Like, I used to have sticky
Mhm.
notes in my car. I literally had sticky notes on my mirror. You name it. They were all over the house to remind me that I got this.
That is so powerful. I talk about that all the time about surrounding yourself with what you value or just mantras or things that just lift you up so that you can stay lifted, like stay motivated. And I've got like little signs, like little things that I've received, like notes I've written to myself,
Mhm.
just surrounding yourself with that. It just helps, get that through the message through your head. It's almost like through osmosis and repetition that you start to truly believe and have that hope and that reminder. I love that. I love it.
Years ago, I created a real quick. Years ago, I
Mhm.
created, which is super fun, and I loved it. And I don't do it anymore, but I used to have an "I love you" board.
Aw.
And so, anytime somebody, especially when I was a student, I mean, a teacher at Temple University, anytime a student would send me a note or anything, I'd tack it up there, tack it up there, tack it up there. So, especially when you're going through a hard time, to
Yes.
create an "I love me" board, because
Yes.
we need to remind ourselves, like, I love the idea of vision boards. I think they're so cool, but I
Mhm.
also love the idea of an "I love me" board, and this is all the
Yes.
things I love about me.
That you know what? That's a lot like my dig folder, my damn I'm good folder, where you just collect all the things that you've done really well, like
Mhm.
feedback, love notes, just me getting a parking spot in Center City and being able to do it without asking for help. Like I
Mhm.
just all those things, it's just surrounding yourself with those positive messages. It really has a power to it. It really does. I love that I love you board. I guess I have an I love you board here. I'm looking at my I love you wall here. So just like all different types of things over here, like a self leadership checklist and a little wonderful sea glass picture from my girlfriend who created. She collects sea glass, and she made little girls, holding wine, of course, because that's what we like to do, and it says friendship, and it just reminds me of my friends, and I've got pictures of my husband, and I just love all of it. I love that surrounding yourself with an I love you board. So let's transition into that. Like, you do a lot, no 2 days are ever the same. You were just running a wonderful cohort of, a group coaching program. You're speaking, you're coaching people through life's challenges. What does a typical day look like for you? And how do you intentionally build positivity into your own routine, especially on those tough days?
Well, I thought you would never ask. No. Yes. So, it's funny. I am positive 99% of the time,
Uh-huh.
maybe 95. Okay.
Mhm.
But when I'm not, I don't question it either.
Okay.
I say to myself, okay, but I know how to I know what I need, because
Uh-huh.
I'm such a student of self. So a typical day, I'll give you a Monday, right? So I came off this past Monday. I came off a fabulous birthday weekend. My son went out of his way, took me to the Phillies game. They won. It was just a wonderful weekend. Every single day I wake up the same way. I wake up as soon as my eyes are open, I say my first morning prayer. I'm Jewish and we have morning prayers, and I wake up and I say, and I'll give you the English, words are, thank you God for giving me life. Thank you for bringing for another day. Basically, we thank God for the day. So then I wake up. I get out of bed, and then another Jewish practice is I wash my hands, because we have this belief that we're, close to, death, because we're going to sleep. It's somber. So when we wake up, we're washing that negativity away. And so we wash our hands. I wash my hands. Then I say my Shema. So I'm extremely thankful to God for everything that I have in my life. So I spend my first portion of my morning doing just that, practicing my faith, practicing my prayers. And then I read. I have a book. It's called The Gate of Trust, and it's all readings about trusting in God. And I read it every morning, and it's a hard read. And I sit there every morning and I think about it. And then I journal, right? I love to journal. And I used to think, oh, I have to journal about this, or I have to, years ago, I have to write, I'm grateful for, and I would get in the journal and I write, I'm grateful for my, and then it's like, whoa, that's not real gratitude when you're just listing what you're grateful for. I mean, it works, but for me, as I've gotten, dare I say, older, I now just write, and I just write 3 pages. My minimum every single day is 3 pages in my journal.
Free writing, just
free writing. Getting it off my head, whatever it is. I wake up, we sometimes we wake up and we're like, ooh, that you don't feel good, or you're in a bad mood. That there's an expression we all know. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed for a reason, right? So then I just journal and I avoid the news. I like to tell people that I know exactly what's going on in the world. I am not, all pink, unicorns and rainbows. I know what's happening in the world, but I like to focus on me. I like to focus on what I can control.
What you can do. Yeah. We can't control. We can't. Yeah.
I can't control what's coming off of the news feed every 5 minutes. I can't control that there's a lot of accidents these days with planes. I can't control any of that. But what I can control is my mindset and how I set myself up for the day. There's a lot of people, them too, that just get up in the morning, roll out of bed, get in the shower, get in their car, go to work, walk in the office, and then they come home and they're like, oh, work stinks, I had a bad day. Well, what did you do to set yourself up? Like, how did you set yourself up for the day? And I think it's so interesting, because people have said to me in the past, like, you're one of the most positive people I know. I wish I could be more like you. Well, you can. You can. You have to work at it. I wasn't always this positive, but I did grow up with a mom who suffered from anxiety and depression. So I did watch my mom struggle with enjoying life, like just being at a dinner and just embracing the dinner, and instead of worrying about taking care of the dishes. So I made a commitment to myself very early on in my life that I was going to have a different approach to life, and that my approach to life was going to be in the minute and enjoy the experience that I'm in right now, and worry about what I can control. And then I got to be honest with you, when I was going through my bankruptcy and I didn't have a job, the only thing I could control was what was I going to do to get income. So what I did is, from all the things that I learned from that experience, it's all in my book, Life Happens, Bounce Back. It's the 4-step bounce back into you plan. And it literally speaks to everything that I did to bounce back. And I use it not every day, but I use it a lot. Like, if there's something going on in my life, I'll be like, okay, let's keep it real. What's going on here? Like, I created programs and I use them. It's not like I just do, oh, okay, let's do this, and I do something else.
Right. You practice what you preach. And I think that's wonderful, because, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of books and thought leadership out there where people come up with these fantastic, ideas, but they're not practicing it. And I think that
Right.
that's what makes your messaging relevant, is because you've tried it and you do it, and you do it daily. You actually live what you're sharing with everyone else.
I do.
Fabulous. So I would love to, we started to touch on it about the workplace environment. Like, some people just don't set themselves up for success in the morning, right? Le-
I don't really think
there's-
anybody walks in and says, "Today I want to have a really bad day at work." Like nobody
right.
does that,
That
right?
is not the goal. I mean, we're seeing people burning out. We're seeing people disengaged. People are turning over. Like, there's people who are having survivor guilt because, a lot of their coworkers have been laid off, and they're, kind of there,
Hmm.
still there, taking on the work. There's a lot of uncertainty that's going on. Why is it so important now more than ever to cultivate positivity in the workplace? And what does that really look like in action, especially for leaders?
So, first of all, setting it up is key because, I always say that when we walk in a room, the
Hmm.
first thing people see is our energy. They feel our mood, right? So if you're walking in and you're all stressed out, then your team is going to be stressed out. You
Yes.
can't lead if you're stressed, and in a perfect world, I used to, years ago, I used to say it would be a perfect world if you could walk in the door and you're automatically somebody else. You're not
Mhm.
bringing your outside life in, but we are. Let's face it, when I was going through my divorce, when you're going through personal issues, when you're feeling guilty, whatever it is. So that's why it's super important to set yourself up for your day. And you really need to step back and say, what is it I'm doing to take care of me? This is where mindfulness is super important. This is where we need to say, what do I want to bring in and how am I going to show up for me today? Because how I show up for me is how I can show up for my team. It's the
Mm.
same situation as when, I say leadership. I know there's a ton of books on leadership, right? And I say being a great leader is like being a great mom or being a great parent or just being a great person. It's about showing who you are. When you show up for yourself,
Yeah.
then others will follow. But if you
Yes.
can't show up for yourself, who's following you? I don't want to follow somebody that's grumpy, right? So if
No.
you, so I think of a woman I worked with at my last position, and she walked in every day, happy, 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 smiley, 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 because she got up every morning and she set her intention. She did
Mhm.
her workout. Whatever she did every day. I'm not saying you got to wake up an hour or two like I do prior to the day,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it's important if you're a leader and you want to lead, how are you showing up for yourself? And then you can talk about how you're showing up for others. It's the same thing, Joyelle. I was thinking about this the other day. I remember years ago, my son was talking about, his resume, and we were working on his resume. He's a very
Uh-huh.
successful engineer. And years ago, I said to him, I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how smart a person is. If I don't like them, I don't want to work with them. It's the same thing.
Mhm.
Likability, positivity, it all goes in the same thing. If
Mhm.
you're grumpy, no one's going to want to come up and say, hey, Joe, you want to work with me on this? You want to partner on this? Hey, Joe, you want to get in the conference room and let's brainstorm some ideas, because your energy is already like off-putting.
Yep. Yep. You're putting everyone off.
So
You talk to the hand.
right, talk to the hand. So you have to set. So being a leader is about being a leadership of your own life. It starts with you.
It starts with you. Ooh. So, I'm going to have to ask you one of my favorite questions. We like to reflect
What is it?
forward.
I'm still single. Is that your favorite question?
She's still single, y'all. So, if you're interested, hit me up in the DMs and we can share some information.
I love you so much.
We're reflecting forward in lots of ways, but career wise,
Got it.
could you share one or two career or leadership tips with the younger version of yourself? Maybe that version who hasn't fully discovered her voice yet. What would you tell little Lisa?
Oh, that's a great one. I would tell younger Lisa to celebrate the small wins in life, because I think when we're younger and we're trying so hard to, like I was, climb up that corporate ladder, get that job, get that raise, that we're too busy looking forward not to appreciate the now. So my best advice would be to little Lisa, or younger version of Lisa, is to look at your wins and
Yeah.
appreciate them, and don't just be like, oh yeah, that was great, or yeah, that was easy. Because I was in communications, and for 25 years, and I've done a lot of great programs, and I had a lot of great success, but honestly, I don't think I enjoyed them enough. And I don't think I gave myself enough attaboys. And that is what we need of. We need more people going, good job. We need to give ourselves some attaboys, and we don't do it because we're trained not to, right?
Oh, of
You don't
course.
want to brag. You don't want to show off.
Right. Humble. Always be humble. Be small, kind of like shrinking yourself. Oh, thank you. It wasn't any, I was just doing my job.
Yes, that's exactly right. And guess what? There's nothing small about me. My hair is not small. My mouth is. I mean, I'm like, and I don't want anybody else to be small. And I think we all need to take lessons in, like, how to. We want to be humble. We don't want to be like over the top. But
Mhm.
I am okay with saying I've had a great career. I've done some great things, and I'm going to continue doing it. And I'm going to keep on celebrating my wins. And I think we all need to start spending more time celebrating us and what we do bring to the table and what we do bring to the workplace.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a, I think I've told you this before, but I have an alarm that goes off at 7 o'clock, and it says, what are you celebrating today? What are you grateful for? And I actually hold my clients accountable. Some of my clients ask me to do the same thing. So like when my alarm goes off, I write down in my dig folder what I'm celebrating, what I'm grateful for, and then I reach out to my client and I'll say, okay, what are you celebrating today?
Hmm.
To get them into the practice of doing it. And I've been doing that. I can't even tell you. I've been keeping a dig folder for about 25 years. But I think from a celebration perspective, I think I've been doing this for about 10 years now. Like
Yep.
just celebrating. And it is the small things. As leaders, we're always looking at the big goal, like we got to get to the first quarter results or the annual plan. I don't know why I use that voice when I talk about a leader. Like why did I have to be this person like that? I don't know why I use that voice. But like as a leader, we're always focused on quarter or year. But what about the in between moments? Like, let's celebrate those milestones that, hey, my God, we survived the first quarter. Now, what are we doing the second quarter? Let's keep the bar, raising. Like,
Mhm.
let's incrementally celebrate the wins of, maybe somebody's struggling with their productivity and they've moved the needle just a little bit. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Let's celebrate that. Jane's coming into work a little late. She's finally coming back to work on time. Let's celebrate that,
Exactly.
or that she came to work at all, like people are
Exactly.
quitting and staying in droves now, like let's celebrate those small wins. I'm totally on board with that. Right on,
I
Lisa.
also think, you asked me for two, right?
Yes.
So, the second one I would tell myself is to just be me and
Mm.
stop trying to fit in. I remember a story where I was going to a meeting, and this woman said to me, this was fairly recently, and this was when I really this is like the light bulb for me that, hey, this culture is just not for me. This
Mm.
woman said, did you bring a jacket for your meeting? And I said, no, I don't need a jacket. Like, I don't know, that's so 80s, but okay. And she was like, she was like, well, you should be wearing a jacket. And
Why?
I said, I don't want to wear a jacket. That's not who I am. And she's like, well, it's more professional that way. And so I have the I have the power of self right now to say, like, I'm not wearing the jacket. That's just not. But when I was younger, I wanted to look the part
Yes.
versus be Lisa. So I think we have to stop trying to look the part. And I think the younger generation today, they have that down pretty. I think they have that down. So I'm pretty impressed with that.
Mhm.
There's so many things I would say to little Lisa, but yeah, be more me and not
Right.
be and not be afraid. I was never really afraid to use my voice at the table, but I think I would give myself, this is three. One more piece of advice is to, before you use your voice at the
Mhm.
table, make sure, like, listen first. I didn't do enough listening. So it'd probably be listen more and then use your voice when you're super clear about what it is you want to bring to the table. And be careful, because every time I open my mouth at the table and said, "Oh, I think this is a great idea," guess who got to do it? Right? Oh, it's such a great idea. You get to do it. But
Yeah.
I
Be careful of
definitely
that.
think, yeah, I definitely think it would be, showing up as myself and stop worrying about trying to fit the part that they
Yeah.
want you to be. Like, you're
Yeah.
not your label. You're not the director of communications. You're not the VP of communications. You're Lisa Bien. And always showed up I always look at the person. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes companies forget to look at us as human beings and they look at us as titles. And
Yeah.
so if they could show up in a way and celebrate our wins and help us feel comfortable about being who we are in all environments, wouldn't that be a great world?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a word. So, I mean, like, definitely that's something that organizations could listen to and do a little bit better about from a culture perspective. They always talk about workplace culture, but, just allowing people to be who they are without having to fit in that box and without having to sit in that blazer box. But, like, that's
Oh, yeah, I
what,
love that. I love
you
that. I'm going to
know,
call that the blazer box.
yeah, I mean, like, you've got to put a jacket on. I just, that makes me think of, people telling me that I needed to wear a wig because, the workplace wasn't, I remember a client saying, I said, do you think I could, kind of just come to the next, session, with, natural without my wig on. And she goes, oh, no, they're not ready for that. They're not ready for you to be yourself. And I thought, wow, do I really want to work with an organization that's not going to embrace me being who I am and not encourage other employees to be
No
who they
way.
are? So that had me thinking a lot about the culture of where you are. And I can't say that everyone has the privilege and ability to be like, oh, I don't need to be here if that can't be who I am. Sometimes we're just trying to make ends meet, but also um, being strong in who you are and not shrinking yourself to fit in spaces and places that you're in. I think those are great leadership tips, though. I mean, like, oh, speaking and thinking ahead and asking questions, being prepared for those meetings and being prepared to take on the work if you're
Yes,
pitching it.
be careful, because you will get the job.
That will happen.
It will happen, and it's happened. I remember once, you reminded me of a story. A woman asked me to partner with her on a campaign, and
Mhm.
on the way to our meeting, Joyelle, she said to me, "Just show them 80%." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Just show them 80%." I said, "I still don't know what you mean." And she said, "You don't need to go in and be you. You can just tone it down and just show them 80%." And I looked at her and I said, "So you're asking me not to be me?" She's like, "No, that's not." I didn't work with that woman after that day,
Mm-mm.
because if you can't embrace who I am, like, this is me, and, like, I'm not going to partner with you and do a program, and you want me to
Dial
behave
it
in a certain
down.
way, right?
Yeah.
Forget it. When someone's asking you to not show up, you don't show up. Like, you don't show up.
Oh my gosh, dial it down 80%. Oh no, no 80%, everybody. No,
No.
no, no more of that. Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
Lisa, we are running out of time. I'm getting the hook, the hook light. But thank you so much for being here and sharing your vibrant light with all of us. Your stories and your tips and your advice are such a beautiful reminder that positivity isn't just a buzzword. We're not just doing it to, like you said, rainbows and unicorns. It is a daily choice. It's a mindset. It's a leadership tool. And the power of positivity lies within us. It's a choice for us to make. It starts with you. You said that. It starts with you. And for those of you who are listening who want to learn more about Lisa and her work and all of her many books, there's a new book coming out in the fall. You can go to her website at lisabien.com, and don't forget to like and subscribe and share this episode if it lit a spark in you today, because somebody in your world probably needs to hear this message too. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being on the show, and I'll see all of you later on Career Mirror. Thank you so much for listening to Career View Mirror. If you got value from this episode, please consider leaving a rating and a review for the show on Apple Podcasts, or head on over to Spotify and click 5 stars for our show. We also have a YouTube channel with video versions of our episodes, so subscribe over there for more content. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.